In this section, we're going to explore the topic of rigs. We're going to find out what different things make up the rig, whether you should actually just buy them from the shop, or whether it's actually better to make your own. So, firstly, the different parts of the rig are... Simon, I'm going to... if you point out...
Like you say, John, it's best to tailor your own because all the venues are different, all the canals are different. So obviously, again, going back to that, going to your local shop, he'll know what size floats you want and line and everything like that. So again, you know, you're tailoring your own package to suit your own canal, like so. Obviously, the first thing you've got in a rig is the line. Yeah,
is that what you call the main line?
The main line, no, that's the main line which houses all the floats, the weights, and everything else.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that.
It's quite a fine line. That these days it goes more on diameter rather than poundage. So like in years gone by, in the old days, it was all poundage, wasn't it?
Exactly, £3 breaking strain or £4 breaking strain. So now it's actually
diameter,
which is like the width of the line.
Yeah, the thickness. Yeah.
So what's the smallest diameter and what's the sort of
that goes back to front again on that one. It's the smaller the number, the finer the line on that one.
Yeah.
So again, it's not like hooks. So a 0.6 line,
which would be about the very finest.
Is very fine line is going to be thinner than an 012 line.
Yeah. And you can get thicker than 012.
You can. It goes
015, 020,
also,
whatever.
yeah, it just keeps on going up like so.
Yeah. So for making a rig on a typical canal. What diameter or strength of main line are you going to be using?
Main line I normally use about 010, 011, that sort of things. But this one's 010, 7. This one, so it's nearly 011.
Nearly 011.
Yeah, and 2. So it's very strong for its diameter, like so.
Yeah.
Quite a thin line, but as you progress in your fishing, you'll realise that using thin line's easier to control in the wind than using really thick line. So that's why we...
And how about the fish? The thicker the line, I assume the easier it is for the fish to see.
Yeah, and it's just a lot better to use thin line. Is a lot easier to control in the wind and stuff like that. So
that's the main line.
That's the main line.
Now the floats. Let's talk about the floats a little
probably
bit.
The most important part.
Well, as a child, I used to collect floats. I used to buy loads of floats, and they never ever got used.
Not just me.
you.
Still collect floats now.
Do you?
Well, just got hundreds of them.
So you go into a shop, and there literally is hundreds. Or seems to be.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for to fish on a typical narrow canal, like say in the Midlands or the North West?
Yeah, you just want a nice sort of slimish body there. That's quite a nice, just an all-round sort of shape, nothing fancy. And these particular ones have got interchangeable tips. So if you're, somebody that can't see like red tips, you can just pull them out like that. Whoops, and put a yellow tip in. Well, we've all got that. We've all seen that bit, where the light's funny and it's like a white background on the canal.
Yes.
So then you could use a black tip. So we just pull that out again.
Wow. Well, they never existed when I was a lad.
No. So we just got a black tip on that one then. So it's like my favourite's red, so I always put the red on. Like.
Who's the manufacturer of this float?
Drennan make these ones.
That's a Drennan float.
Yeah, it's a Drennan float.
And has it got a special name?
It's an SF2. These are nice floats, and what is good about them as well. Obviously, you generally have two types. You have wire or carbon on the stem.
That's the bottom bit there.
That's the bottom part.
That's what you call the stem.
Yeah, wire is like a bit more easy to control, especially in wind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When the conditions are poor. But the trouble is, the only downside of a wire is it bends, and once wire bends, it goes out of shape and it doesn't work properly.
So it makes the bait behave funny.
Yeah, but these particular floats have got a special wire that it's like a bendy wire.
So it's got some sort of memory.
Yeah, I think it's titanium wire or something like that, where you can bend it like that and it goes back into shape. So for new anglers that are a bit,
a bit like me, a bit clumsy.
They're perfect because you can never ever bend that out of shape. So you can, really, really good for. And I use them a lot on my own fishing, to be honest, and for certain things, and they're perfect. Perfect.
That's an important point, isn't it? Why would you expect a beginner to use worse equipment?
Exactly.
Because if you were a great tennis, Roger Federer could probably play tennis with a cricket bat and still beat us.
It's all you're just putting the odds in your favour again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Trying to give yourself the best start,
So how the heck? I can't work out.
Yeah.
How the
float attaches to the line.
Yeah.
Right.
How's that going to work?
So all we do so we've got our line, and because we're in the kitchen here, all I do is just weight that spool down with a weight there.
Oh, that's
that.
the green lentils. I assume baked bean tin would work equally as well.
No, it's got to be lentils.
It's got to be lentils.
Got to be lentils. Yeah. So, so we're just plenty of room to work with there. So we've got like a tight line so we can work with the rig there.
Got ya.
So the first thing we're going to do is thread on the float. So we're going to choose which float we use. And I do that a lot in my own fishing. I'll buy a different size. Like there's 4 different sizes there, but you get used to looking at the same sort of float. So it's nice to have different sizes in the same float. Different weights.
Different numbers of these weights they're going to take, are they?
But like a general on the canals that we fish locally around here, that's a 0.3 inside, which is a nice
0.3 of a gram.
0.3 of a gram. So it's like a nice size for fixing. It's not, the canals around here aren't very deep. Close in. So that's a nice size to it, like an all-round size. So for this rig, we're going to use a 0.3 float.
So if you lived near a deeper canal, like the ones in Yorkshire or the Gloucester Canal, you'd use
bigger again.
A heavier float.
Yeah, like maybe a gram float.
Got ya.
Yeah, so we just use a bigger float.
Yeah.
But these float, you know, you can get a whole range of these, all the same pattern but in different sizes. Yeah.
Well, that's very clever. Yeah. Take my hat off to Mr. Drennan for that.
So we've got just make a bit more line there. So it just makes it easy, having that tight line there just makes it easy to. And it's got, so we've got that line there.
Yeah.
And see that's got a little side eye.
Yes, and they're made out of some sort of metal.
Yeah. So it's not like a stick float, an old stick float from years ago where you'd have rubbers to connect it. On the stem you'd have, it's just got that side eye. So what we do, we put the float on the line, and see that's got a little eye there?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed on this one there's a little bit of glue in filling in that hole of the eye.
And so the line won't fit.
It won't go through, so you know, you might think it's your eyes, like when you can't get it, but just have a little look up to the line. I can see a little bit of glue stuck in there. So all I do is get another float, one of the spare ones, and just drill it out, sort of. All I'm doing there is it's got rid of that little bit of glue that was there.
So now the line will hopefully...
Common thing that can, you know, you could be thinking it's your eyes, but it's actually a bit of glue there stuck. And that's how that goes straight through now, isn't it?
That's nice and easy.
Yeah, so we've got the float.
Yeah, so you've put that now.
So obviously now you need to fix that because it's just sliding around now.
Otherwise it can go up and down and all over the place. So what are you going to do next?
All we do is attach some silicone on the stem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was...
This
came in
I bought that from the shop separately again because, you know, and Gareth...
And so the man at the shop told you the correct...
Again, that all comes in different sizes.
Yeah.
You know, you could get a rubber that's the diameter of it's too thick and it wouldn't clamp onto the stem.
So the float would end up sliding.
Yeah.
And the float needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it needs to be fixed.
In position.
So all we do is just cut a couple of lengths of this off.
Yeah.
So I've got one there.
And another advantage of doing this indoors in the house,
imagine doing this outside.
Little pieces of plastic can be
blown away and stuff.
Yes, blown away, and here they can be put in the bin at the end.
And again, all we do is...
You're going to put one on, Simon?
No, I'm going to put two on. Yeah, it just sits better on the float, and if one accidentally breaks, we can use it as a spare. Then we can slide it down, but they never break, to be honest, not very often.
No.
So if we were just having one there, say if I just put one on the end there, you'd have a bit. It just wouldn't sit quite right. There'd be a big sort of loose bit of line there, so it just sits a bit neater.
You do pay a lot of attention to detail, don't you, at times.
Only in my fishing.
Only in your fishing, not in your paperwork.
No.
But I suppose sometimes it's the detail that makes all the difference between...
Well, yeah, just a little bit of effort.
Catching some fish and not
see how we've got those two bits of rubber on the line now.
Yeah, and they will slide.
Yeah, so we're just going to attach that float now.
Yeah, shall I bring the float up?
You can do, yeah.
Be careful with it, don't break it.
Yeah. And what I do is just wet the stem so it just goes on a little bit easier.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just slipped it on there.
Yeah.
That's it. So just move that one up. Oops. That's that. Slide him up. One to the bottom of the body and one to the bottom.
Again, this rig making, a lot of clubs are now working with their
But see how neat that is.
sections.
See how neat that is. One fix there. If we had one there, it would be a bit of a gap of the line there, wouldn't it be a little loop?
Yes.
And see where I've been messing about putting the 2 rubbers on, and the line's slightly damaged there.
Yeah.
All because we don't want to be using that damaged bit, so we'll just move that up out of the way.
Yeah.
And just chop that off. So that bit there is damaged line that we.
I see.
Do you know what I mean?
Again,
So just put
very
that out of the way.
important that and goes into the bin.
And obviously now we just give ourselves a bit more room, so we'll just
Yeah.
take a bit more line off the spool. And that there. And like that bendy wire then, see how, with normal wire, when you're moving it up, it's very easy to bend it and kink the float.
Yeah.
But with that one, it's so easy to move it up the line. See how I bent it there? You couldn't do that with a normal steel float.
Okay.
It would be. So now what we need to do is put some weights on.
Yeah. So explain what weights are.
Right. What they do, if we were to drop the float in without any weights on, it would probably be. It just wouldn't be. Yeah.
Try it. See
just
what
on there. Look, there might be a bit of.
It
might be a bit of weight on there.
Yeah.
But see how that's. We've all seen that. It's all sticking up.
Sticking up what they used to call a
Lighthouse.
lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A boat would probably moor up to it on the canal or something like that, wouldn't it? It's sticking out that much.
So what you're saying is you don't want the float sticking up very much out of the water.
No. So we need to put some weights on to sort of take it down to this sort of amount that what we like to show.
That's quite only a small amount.
Yeah, a small amount.
Of the what do you call that?
It's a bristle, pole bristle. That is.
So only part of the bristle.
Yeah.
Should be actually above the water.
Yeah, and we're fishing for shy biting fish. So again we're putting the odds in our favour again, just to make it.
It's a common mistake that you see, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely.
With young anglers having it stuck up.
Yeah.
And then, will the wind blow it if it's windy?
Well, yeah. The more obviously, if it's sticking out in the air, and if your line's a bit thick as well, it's going to blow and it's going to affect all your presentation.
So you're saying that you'll end up catching less fish because of that?
Definitely, yeah. So. Right, we'll put some. These are you can get 2 types of weights. You can get stots and shots.
Oh, okay.
One of them's round, the shot are round.
Yeah.
But these stots, they're like an oblong. Is it oblong the right word? Shape?
Yes, I think
oblong
that's or a cylinder or something like that.
They're not round. They're like an oblong shape. And for new anglers as well, they're a lot easier to put on the line.
Okay, well you can hopefully show us how to put one of these stops on the line.
Yeah, so if I just get some of those out, what we're going to use.
Again, you wouldn't be doing this on the bank, would
you? No, and again these have got numbers.
Okay, explain the numbers then.
On these, which way around? Yeah, it's back to front again.
Yeah.
The lower the number, the bigger the weight. So a number 9 stot is a bigger size than a number 12 stot.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just got to bear that in mind. All the hooks, numbers,
this is
elastic numbers.
It's all quite complicated.
I know it's so complicated, isn't it? Yeah.
But hopefully, by listening to this,
so I'm going to get a few number 9s as well.
Yeah.
And a couple of number 10s. So we've got 3 different sizes there. Right. And as well, it's best to put them on with pliers. I found out the hard way over the years when I used to put them on with my teeth.
Yes.
And I've worn away all my teeth on the front.
That's a sensible health and safety issue.
And all they do...
Because I think they're made of lead, aren't they? These very small ones, or used to be.
Used to be, didn't they? Yeah.
And so, under no circumstances,
no, you don't want to be
make the same mistake as Simon made.
And to be honest, now putting them on with it's neater and it's more. You're putting an even pressure on and everything. So
again, it's making that bait presentation more natural.
Yeah, far better. Like putting them on with pliers. So all I'm doing, there's a little groove in the stot there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just laying that against the line. Whoops. Like that. I'm going to put some very tiny number 12s on first, but I'll explain why in a second. Or we've done that way around. Oops. On the light, so that's there. That's pinched on there. Look. I'm just slide him up.
And they can slide up and down. And
they can, yeah.
If you don't cause any.
Yeah, you don't put them on too. If you don't have to squeeze them on too hard. So just an even nice, and that's what you can do with pliers, a nice even pressure.
Why would you want to slide these weights or stops up and down the line?
Where we just, as we're fishing, you know, a lot of times we'll move our shots around to, you know.
What's the point if you never fished before?
Yeah, a lot of the time, for example, when we first put our bait in, all the fish go down to the bottom, quite easy to catch. And
so you want your bait to go down to the bottom quickly? Quite
quickly, yeah. So we have a lot of the weight in the rig down to the bottom of the rig. Yeah. But as they get a bit, you know, 2 or 3 of them, a few of them get taken out of the shoal, they get a bit more cagey. So that's when we spread these out a bit more.
So do the fish actually, are they always on the bottom, or are they actually moving
all
up?
sorts. I think a lot of the time on the canal when we first put our ground bait in, they're straight on it. But as they get a bit more tricky to catch, some perhaps drift about more, and so that's when moving your shots and stuff like that.
There's a lot to learn in this fishing business, isn't there?
So I'm just going to put.
It's just like really easy, and you know, and
so I've just put. I'm going to put 3 of those tiny ones on to begin with. Again, we'll go into why on that. We'll just put these shots on first, and we've got a nice little tube here to test the weights.
Okay.
You know, so this
full
is
of water.
Full of water, yeah. So we're just going to put some number 9s on, which are bigger than the 10s for our bulk shop. So we're pretending that we don't know what it takes.
Yeah.
So that's what we've got this tube here for. We've got, you know, which again, I've got a big water butt outside. I can do it in, but if it's like the weather's like today, like it's nice to have that tube indoors to do it. Like, so I'm just pinching them on evenly like that. Not hard. If you pinch them on too hard with this fine line, the line might break. So, so just pinching them on. But like you keep on saying, John, trying to do this outside.
On a windy day. Cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like on our matches, like, you know, we've got lots of these in our box that are already spare for tangles and that. Because if you're trying to do this in the middle of a match, you know.
So actually, you need more than one rig.
Yeah.
Once you get serious about your fishing.
Yeah, but just it doesn't take long once you're.
Like anything in life, the more you practice,
that's it.
The easier it gets. Or as the golfer Gary Player once said, the more you practice, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
And there's an element of truth in that as well.
Yeah. So we'll see how we're getting on. Top wise on that. And again, I've sort of damaged that bit of line there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to snip him off there.
Well, it's true to say, if you're using thicker lines, you probably get less damage.
Yeah, but we're trying to get in that bit of using this fine line, aren't we? So
true.
Yeah. So this is my like a little canal here, really, so I can test him in there. Look.
Okay.
So that was a good guess, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think that comes from as Gary Player said. I think.
Yeah. But say
looks about.
It is, but perfect.
Perfect to me. But what do you think?
Yeah, and that's why we've got our little shots as well. So I've got the shots that I want down there.
Yeah.
But see these little trimmers, I call them, those shots.
Yeah, those are the smallest ones.
The smallest ones. So say I would drop the float in then, and it was very, very dotted down, like too much.
Yeah.
If I'd have took one of the big ones off, it would have popped up too much. So they're like for fine tuning.
Got you.
And especially as well when we've been doing our Let's Fish events. If you're a new angler, it's hard to sort of something that's really dotted down. If people aren't used to looking at floats, it's so hard to focus on it. You know, if you're saying look at the float, and they can't really see it, and they're not. Sometimes then,
coaches will have the float sticking out more than what you perhaps should.
So if it was, you know, on loads of events where we've had complete novices come, I've just nipped one of those off. Just so more of this is showing, it just gives them a better experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that one really is ready to go. Really, that's just right, isn't it? There.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we do, so those trimmers there, we're going to put them out of the way. But what we do, we'll just slide that up to there.
Yeah.
Move these out of the way. So put nice easy pressure on, and they're sliding nicely, aren't they? And they don't tend to damage the line, these stops either. Putting them on with the pliers really helps. It's like an even pressure on there, and it doesn't, you know what I mean? So
that's an important.
So I'm just going to snip off that last bit there, the damaged stuff. What's that? Oops, put that out of the way. So. Get a bit more spare. Handy that tin of things, isn't it? Tin lentil stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously we've got no hook on the end now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. How are you going to attach the two?
Right.
And is the line the same strength?
No, it's always we always have a weaker hook length.
Yeah.
2 reasons, that might be a little bit thick to use direct to a hook.
Yeah.
So again, we're thinking diameter. So we've got 0.10 diameter main line.
Or 0.11, I think.
Or 0.11, yeah. And we use a weaker hook length, which serves a couple of purposes. If we get snagged up on the bottom, when we pull, if we have to break the line, we only lose the bottom 8 inches of the line.
Well, that's important, isn't it? Because if you lost several metres of line and it ends up in a tree or something, that can damage.
And if we tied a hook direct,
birds, couldn't it?
Yeah, if we tied a hook direct, when we pulled for a break, there is a chance that we could lose everything, all the shot and everything.
Yeah, and your floats, which is quite a lot of money.
Yeah,
so you're only going to lose a hook.
Yeah, a small amount. Yeah. So what we need to do, we're going to use a loop-to-loop connection for the hook length. Okay. So we need to tie a little loop in the end of the main line to house the hook length. You can use figure of 8 knots.
Yeah.
Which are a bit stronger, to be honest, but to begin with, if you just use a normal loop, you won't go far wrong.
And so that's wet the line as well when you do the knot.
I do when I'm going to do the knot. So just formed a loop.
Yeah.
Whoops. Like that. Just a normal loop.
Twice through.
Twice through. Yeah. And this is just a normal loop knot. Normally in my own fishing, I'd use a figure of 8 loop, but again, we don't want to make it too complicated and everything. It's easy to tie those.
That's what I used to tie when I fished as a child. So.
Yeah. And we've just got see those 2 little pegs there?
Oh, yeah.
This is to form a tiny loop. So I've just put one end of the loop there and one end in there.
Yeah.
So it just traps between the 2. Oops. So just tighten up there. And that's a bit where I moisten the loop there.
And that helps with the strength of the knot?
Yeah, it does, yeah. See, we've got a nice little tiny loop there. And we just need to trim that end using the scissors. There we go.
Lovely. I'll put that over here, Simon.
Yeah.
With the other.
And see, we've got a nice little small loop there, isn't it?
That's a very small loop. Yeah.
And obviously we want to put our hook on there now. And again, we're going on the theme of being, we want things easy.
Just remind me again of the hook sizes.
The hook sizes, right? So the bigger the hook's number, the smaller the hook.
So 26 is the smallest, going up to like number 2 or something is the biggest.
And on the canals, a lot of the time we use a 22, like a nice sort of small size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I mean, I always use a 20.
Yeah.
Is that also okay? 20,
well, you drew a lot better pegs than everybody else, so you could have used a 20.
Exactly. Yeah. So 20s or 22s?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And these come already tied, these are like I do tie my own, but again, it's so much easier, you've got them all tied, and they're not, like you get some hooks to nylon where they're all in a coil and you can get tangled, but these are on a nice card.
So who are these made by?
Guru make these, so they're like a nice fine,
Guru.
nice fine wire hook, so it's just a matter then of taking it off the card. It's got a loop in one end and like hooks on the card the other end.
And how many hooks would you get if you
8
bought
in those. 8, yeah.
8 hooks.
Yeah. And not expensive. I think they're about, what are they now? $2.99 for 8 hooks. And to the line, and you aren't going to mess about tying them at home.
I mean, you could learn to tie your own.
You could.
And if you get involved with a club that's part of Let's Fish, and the coaches will teach you to do that in the classroom. And
these have got a very small micro barb on them. See that little barb there?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the hooks that we use are the fine ones. A lot of them are barbed.
Yeah.
When you go into the barbless, they tend to be more geared towards commercial lakes where you have to use barbless.
What do you think then? What do you do for it?
Personally, I use barbed, but there's not a problem with these. It's just getting your pliers again and just squashing down the barb so it makes it barbless. So again, like getting caught in jumpers and stuff like that, I can hook my jumper there and it just comes out because it's barbless now.
Oh, I wish I'd have known that when I was a kid.
Or in your net or anything. So that's
a good tip. So So if you get it caught in your keep net, you get it caught in your jumper or your
and they're a lot easier. A lot easier to unhook the fish and stuff like that. So again, on our events, I've had 1 hour where we got an experienced person and they're quite easily using the barb, and then the next hour you got somebody who's never fished, so we just slip a barbless one on or crunch the barb down
Gotcha.
So this loop-to-loop connection, whoops, not there. So what we do to form this connection there,
Yeah.
so we pass that loop there through the mainline loop. Okay. So I've gone from that way there, past my loop of my hook length, through that mainline loop.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get me hook and pass it through the hook length loop.
Yeah.
So it forms like see, it's like a double knot connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just neaten them. See how it joins together now?
Oh yeah.
Like a really strong connection that is as well.
Yeah.
So if we get snagged up, not a problem, because that will just break and we're not going to lose all this.
Yeah, not going to lose your main line, your floats.
Yeah.
Your weights. You're going to put any weights on the hook length?
Oh, that one, that's 8 inches like that is. So you could put a little shot there, but you know,
but you don't
it's not
need to.
Not a problem. No, if you don't, no. You know, and we were on that topic before of moving the shots. So if we were going to use this rig for the first time, we'd expect this would be like a rig for catching on the bottom, you know, weighted down. So so I'm just going to put one shot there by the hook length knot, and I'm going to form a bulk in these. That one there, just move those down. And see, it's a little block of shot, so it's.
So you call those the bulk?
A bulk of shot,
because they're all together.
Yeah, so that will take the rig down quite quickly, and then you've got that little. What that does as well, when the bait's sinking like that, if the fish intercepts it on the way down, it will hold that weight up, and there'll be more float sticking out.
Sometimes then the float,
on the drop.
If the float doesn't.
Yeah, it's sometimes a fish on the way down. Yeah.
So that's what you call a bite on the drop.
On the drop, yeah. So
and a lot of people don't ever know that those are bites.
No. So if I move those there, and I'll move those trimmers out of the way. Yeah. So if I need to do anything with those, I can nip them off or put one back on. You know. Yeah. You know, for the coaching sort of thing that we've been doing, like that. And even on my own fishing, I always use them because if it gets really, really windy, I can put another one on. Or take one off, do you know what I mean? Or the light gets bad, so I need to take one off so I can see more float. So, and then, obviously we need to put it on a winder.
So a winder, so explain what a winder is.
Obviously if we had all this, if this was loose, it would tangle up and everything.
So if you just threw it in a box, it would be
exactly, a mesh, So what we do, obviously we need to put it on what this is called a pole winder. So if we had this loose in our tackle box, it would tangle up and it just wouldn't be right. So we wrap it around on this and we have it in, it just allows it to store it in the box for us, and we carry plenty of spare ones of these. Yeah,
so I guess you've got dozens of these. But
too many,
but really you need at least 3 or 4 just in case of tangles.
So I know on like 20 wraps round there is roughly about 10 foot. So that's perfect. We can always trim it down when we get there if it's too long. But it's better to have it a bit longer than too short.
Yes, because then you have to tie another piece of line.
Yeah, I don't like doing that. Even on my own fishing, I don't like adding line. I like always make them too long.
And then you can cut them down.
Yeah, exactly. So if we just wrap it around, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. And incidentally, with the pole winders, they've always got a shallow and deep side. If I was to slide the float on there, the body would be sticking, and see how it's shallow?
Yes.
The body would be sticking out and it'd be getting crushed in the box and stuff like that.
So,
So always put it on the deep side like that. So I've got 10 up to there, and then I've wrapped all the line to the float on that side, so then I'll go to that side of the winder, and it just keeps it tangling.
You do pay attention to these little details, don't you?
And then I'll just tie a loop in the end.
Yeah. Same sort of loop as last time?
Yeah, same, I use figure of eight myself, but for years I used normal loops, and you know it was not a problem like that.
Just while I think on, you've used Drennan mainline here.
Yeah.
Are there any? I mean, is that the best or?
I use that myself. But there's lots of different makes that you can use.
Such as?
There's DH line, Dave Harrell line, Maver line. All the major companies make the line. So
is it a matter of personal preference?
Personal preference, Yeah. And these, you might wonder what these little black things were.
Yeah.
If I'd have just I've trimmed it off there, and that's going to be loose. If there was, so it could be getting tangled in the box.
Yes.
So it won't reach to the end there.
Yeah.
So all I do is slide that black thing there.
They actually move.
Yeah. Hook the loop and then it goes on there and it's ready to go.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a Simon Mottram homemade rig, and we will be including that as part of the prize package, which anybody who enters the Junior Canal Championships will be able to enter our competition, and part of the winning prize will be this wonderfully made rig.